The Green Bay Packers lose a thriller. Are the Badgers pretenders? And is Corey Hart leaving Milwaukee? Stay tuned. Sports Talk Live is next. Talk Live. I'm Nick Ragner.
And I'm Steph Olson.
This past weekend, in Week 3 of the NFL season, the Green Bay Packers lost to the Cincinnati Bengals in a thriller, 34-30. Now, Steph, this was a big game for the Packers. They're 1-2 now. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that changes need to be made. We're putting up the second most points in the NFL right now with 32 points a game, which is pretty awesome, but defensively we're struggling, and I'm not for sure why, because the first game of the season, the Packers' run defense was just amazing. Right now, they need to make changes with Clay Matthews going out in the second half, and both their secondary people, Casey Hayward and Morgan Burnett, hurt. They need to figure out how to make things work for them. Hopefully this bye week will rejuvenate their defense, and hopefully they will be ready to go in Week 5.
Now, here's my opinion on the Packers.
All right,
you ready to hear it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not completely sold on Green Bay. I mean, they have pretty much the same team they've had the past couple of seasons. So, I mean, they're not really fluctuating with the league. Like a lot of other teams are really improving, adding talent through the draft and stuff. But the Packers have been staying really similar throughout the past couple of seasons. And Aaron Rodgers hasn't really been himself. The only game that he's had that he was phenomenal in, where he played like Aaron Rodgers, was against a 30-ranked pass defense by the Washington Redskins. So, I mean, I haven't really seen a lot from Aaron Rodgers. He missed a lot of key throws against Cincinnati. He's still Aaron Rodgers, so I mean, he's still a premier quarterback, but he's just not as impressive as he was the past couple of seasons. So I can't really buy into Green Bay winning the division or even making the playoffs. I mean, looking at their schedule, they've got Baltimore, Chicago twice, Atlanta, Dallas, the Phillies pass offense against their terrible pass defense. Maybe even Detroit can win a game here or there. I can see them coming out at 7-9 and not even making the playoffs. I don't even know how you can argue with me on that.
You're laughing at yourself because this is hilarious. What? The Lions, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Vikings are all horrible teams right now.
The Browns?
The Browns?
Brian Hoyer is bringing it.
They beat the Vikings barely.
Oh my gosh.
They're
working out the kinks, dude. The Brian Hoyer came in. This is his first career start in like 2-3 years, maybe.
You're not going to win a game with Brandon Weeden at quarterback. He's never done anything.
That's why Brian Hoyer is starting now. They don't need T. Rich. I'm saying there's plenty of plausible games that Green Bay will lose this season, and I don't think they're making the playoffs. I know you're delusional because you're a Packer fan, but that's what's going to happen.
I'm realistic right now. This is ridiculous. I think the reason Aaron Rodgers is not performing as well as he is because I think he's relying a little bit too much on that run game. I mean, 2 games in a row with a 100-plus yard rusher.
That's impressive.
That is impressive for Packers. I mean, when's
it
the
was
last
like
time
2010 with Brandon Jackson, if anybody even knows. He plays for the Browns now, too, so how weird is that?
That's sad.
Yeah, it's whatever.
But, I mean, I think the running game is developing, which is a good thing, and I think once Eddie Lacy gets back, hopefully that keeps up.
Here's what I think is wrong with the Packers, too. I think that they don't know how to really play without a lead. Like, they're so used to always being ahead when playing other teams because, as we saw, they had 4 turnovers to end their last 4 possessions, and 2 of those turnovers came when they were losing the game. So, I mean, it's really hard, I think, for the Packers to adjust when they are losing a game late. It seems like, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers doesn't have that killer instinct, but he's good at getting the pack up early, but it seems like it's hard for them to catch up when they're later in the game. I think I heard a statistic that that was the first time they were down in the first quarter in like 3 years or something like that. So they're not very used to being down right away.
Well, when you think about it, the Packers,
or late in the game,
they usually come out and score right away. So for them to get scored on right away is just a little offbeat for them. Their defense just wasn't impressing me at all. I mean, did you not think that they were unimpressive?
Are we talking about the Packers?
Yeah, I still love them, but I mean, I still have faith in them.
They weren't very impressive, but at the same time, you know, they held the Cincinnati Bengals to 14 points until like midway through the third quarter, I think it was. So I mean, those 14 points didn't necessarily even need to happen, or at least that kick return fumble touchdown didn't need to happen. So it would have been, you know, 30-7 midway through the third quarter, and that could have changed things definitely. So you can't really blame it on the defense as much as you can just on, I guess, play calling and poor decision making.
Luckily for Packer fans, though, Jeremy Ross has been cut after his punt fumble. Moving on with week 3 in the books, 7 NFL teams are currently undefeated. Who's the real deal and who isn't, Nick?
You want to know who the real deal is? I'll tell you who the real deal is. I think my boys in navy blue are the real deal. I think the Pats are the real deal. Now, people are going to say, oh, they played some crappy teams and they barely beat the Bills. They barely beat the Jets. But look at who's on their roster. I mean, we talked about it all offseason. They got Kenbrell Tompkins, Aaron Dobson, Julian Edelman, who wasn't anything the past couple of seasons, Danny Amendola, who's still improving. He had a couple good games as a St. Louis Ram. But other than that, he's been very improving as well, besides, people claiming that he's, the best thing ever. Gronk's been out the entire season. Ridley hasn't been playing like himself. I mean, this team is really depleted, and their defense has been picking up slack, which is unheard of for the Patriots in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So I'm really impressed by this team, especially with Danny Amendola coming back, Gronk possibly coming back this next week. I think their offense is going to be more potent. Tom Brady's going to have more trust in his receivers. I think that Kenbrell Tompkins, Aaron Dobson, guys like that are just going to build more credibility as the season goes on. And I think that they are going to be a phenomenal team in the next month. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Patriots fan. I'm saying it because it's the truth. Like, I know the truth, and that's the truth.
I am impressed with what Tom Brady has to work with and the fact that they are winning. But, I mean, I hate the Patriots, so I am not going to say that they are a contender.
Reason.
I'm going to say that they are a pretender.
That is a terrible
just because they almost got defeated by Buffalo. Should have lost that game. Should have lost against the Jets.
But they didn't lose.
I don't care. Second time around, it's going to happen. For my contenders, my surprise team, I have the Chiefs.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
they're impressive.
Well, they defeated Jacksonville, which is nothing. Dallas and Philly. And Alex Smith is finally stepping up to the plate and being a quarterback that he's been talked about for these past couple of years. Jamal Charles is also the leading rusher, and weirdly enough, he's leading the team in reception. So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So
interesting.
I mean, I have faith in them. I like Andy Reid. I've always been a fan of him since he's been with the Packers, and he did work in Philly.
Yeah.
I mean, they never had championships.
Here's what I like about Alex Smith. He has thrown zero interceptions. Like,
yes.
That's really key. And Alex Smith has always been that great quarterback. That's what you missed when he moved from San Francisco. The guy doesn't throw picks. He doesn't lose games for you. Like, that's somebody that Minnesota would like, because obviously they're making terrible decisions at quarterback. But Alex Smith, I feel like, is a perfect quarterback, a game manager, a guy that if he has a good team around him and a good coach like Andy Reid, he has Jamal Charles in the backfield. They can really do stuff if he's not turning the ball over.
You can see that he's a leader on the field too. I like that about Alex Smith. For pretenders, who do you have for pretenders?
Well, for pretenders, I have. Who do you have?
I have the Patriots, and I also have the Bears. They have not been impressing me at all, even though Jay Cutler has stepped his game up. Barely won to Cincy, which they won right at the end. Minnesota won by 1 point, and Pittsburgh, who's just a mess right now. They did kind of kill him a little bit, but I feel like without that, without a defense, they would be struggling hardcore.
Now, here's the reason I couldn't think of a pretender, and it's because, honestly, I think most teams that are 3-0, actually all the teams that are 3-0 right now, actually have a legitimate reason to be 3-0. I think all of them could be conference champs, division champs, what have you, later in the season. It's kind of hard for me to pick a pretender right now because I think all those teams have looked so impressive. Well, speaking of teams that have started 3-0. Right now, there's quite a few teams that are 0-3. If I can list them off, we have Minnesota, the Washington Redskins, New York Giants, Pittsburgh Steelers, Tampa Bay Bucks, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, Steph, I got to know, what are your thoughts on these slow starters, and are you buying into these teams to possibly make the playoffs, which has only happened 3 times since 1990?
If there is a team that I could see improving in any way, I say the Bucks, just because I like Josh Freeman and I think that they have a decent offense. But I'm going to have to say the NFC East is slacking this year hardcore. Dallas is 2-1, Eagles are 1-2, Giants and Redskins are both defeated, which is strange because the Giants and the Redskins last year both finished in the top of their division, with Redskins actually winning the division. They're a surprise to me. There's been a huge controversy if RG3 should be benched or not. I don't know. I mean, when I saw him play against the Packers, he didn't look confident. He could not run outside the pocket at all. He just looked like he's still having problems with his knee.
Yeah, here's a problem I have with the Redskins. So this Alfred Morris guy, I don't know if you've heard of him, he has a 5.6 yard per carry average, and he's only carried the ball 40 times in the past 3 games. Now this guy's a workhorse.
Yeah.
So he should be having the ball handed off to him quite a bit more. I think RG3 is calling his number a little bit too much. He's a little too overconfident, I think, right now, especially coming back from that knee surgery. So I think the guy needs to slow his roll a little bit. They haven't looked really that impressive. The only reason I could see either the Redskins or the Giants becoming a better team is the fact that they play in such a terrible division, so they have games they can win against Philly or Dallas. You never know what to think about Dallas. They have a lot of hype coming into this season, but it's Dallas, so I mean, there's nothing really to buy into.
They're such a wishy-washy team, Dallas is. You never know when they're going to come out and play, and you never know when they're just going to choke.
No, I think Minnesota actually could be something too. I'm a huge advocate for Matt Castle. It has nothing to do with his Patriot history, but I mean, you have to give the guy a shot. I mean, he has an 80 career QB rating, which is
not too bad.
It's not bad.
Better than Christian Ponders, I'm
sure.
sure.
The thing that you need with the Minnesota Vikings is they need more, a quarterback that's not going to make terrible decisions, turn the ball over. I mean, if I have it on here, Christian Ponder has thrown 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
Oh gosh, that's horrible.
Yeah, so he's thrown, twice as many interceptions than he has touchdowns, and that's a problem you have because when you play on a team like the Vikings and you rely so much on your running back, you need to have a quarterback that's at least not going to turn the ball over and hand the ball off. Like that's exactly what you need. I mean, the guy has a 65 quarterback rating. They're not going to go anywhere with him. Adrian Peterson is almost targeted as much as their top receiver, as we talked about with the Chiefs. But the problem with that is that they're still running AP down people's throats, and now they're trying to throw him the ball. I mean, they're too one-dimensional. I think that's a team that you can't buy stock into because
and the defense adjusts when they play when they play the Vikings and know that Adrian Peterson's going to run the ball 85% of the time. Speaking of 85, where's Greg Jennings at?
I have no idea.
For real. I mean, he just signed a helmet that said Greg Jennings Packers suck.
Here's something that's pretty funny. Not a single Minnesota wide receiver has caught a TD this year. I'm pretty sure that happened like 2 years ago too. What's up with that? They just have problems at the wide receiver
Choke
position,
artists,
I guess.
that's for sure.
So I don't know what's going on there.
Although we are against some NFL teams right now, I want to know, Nick, who's the favorites to win their divisions, conferences, and who's Super Bowl matchup?
Okay,
I know it's a little early, but
okay. Well, see, everybody can pick Denver. Oh my God, Peyton Manning, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, I'm not going to pick Peyton Manning because boo Peyton Manning. That's why, because I hate John Elway. No, I'm going to say New England. I'm going to stick with New England. I'm going to stick with that pick. I think when Gronk and Amendola are back and they're 100% healthy, when Shane Vereen comes back and gives them that threat out of the backfield that Tom Brady loves ever so much, Danny Woodhead, Kevin Falk, I think they're going to be real big contenders. Out of the NFC, I like anybody out of the NFC North. I like both the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints have come back this year and they're playing like they played in 2009, winning the 2010 Super Bowl. They're playing with, Breeze is a man on a mission. So, I mean, he's playing his helmet off.
So is Sean Payton. I mean, he's ready to get back there. And
I like the Falcons. I like their talent level. I love Steven Jackson. I think he offers them, a dimension that we haven't seen yet. He's been injured. He's been, hurt. But I think there's too much talent in the Atlanta secondary to keep giving up points through the air. And I also think on offense, they're probably the most talented team in the NFL, so you can't.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
What?
Yeah, because Broncos. Are you serious? Peyton Manning he's
oh my gosh,
stud right
jump
now.
on a bandwagon.
I'm not on a bandwagon. I'm being realistic. He has 376 passing yards a game. I mean, that's how a game, and they're first in the NFL right now. He has 12 TDs and 0 interceptions. That's insane.
It sounds like somebody is playing Madden, and they are the Broncos, and they're playing with Peyton Manning because
they're winning.
His stats are kind of ridiculous.
And they're winning.
Well, too bad for you. We don't get to hear your NFC contender, but we're going to cut to Perfect Pets. We'll be right back with more Sports Talk Live after this. Stay tuned.
Let's look at it there on the camera.
Have a sweet tooth? Meet Sprinkles. She's an 8-week-old domestic short-haired cat. She's very curious, playful, energetic, and is very sweet. And here's Bella. She's a 3-year-old miniature pinscher that has some spunk. She's very energetic and loves to run, play, and run. And meet Patty Cake and Tootsie. 2 young, lovable guinea pigs that are curious and are looking for a home.
To find out more about adoption for these pets or others, contact the Cooley Region Humane Society at 781-4014.
Got it. And the number for the Cooley Region Humane Society is 781-4014.
Well, now we're going to move on to a topic that we all love talking about. It's the Wisconsin Badger football program. And, this past weekend, they defeated Purdue, as I hear like to say. But, hey, they're 3-1. They lost to Arizona State in a silly fashion. Steph, what is your opinion on the Badgers?
I think the Badgers are actually impressing me this year a little bit. I mean, that they've had 3 legitimate threats in the backfield, right?
Okay.
But since Ball's gone right now, you have to look for a leader to take most of his carries. And we've seen that in Melvin Gordon. That kid is a stud. I was really upset during the Arizona State game, actually, because they couldn't figure out how to run the ball early in the beginning of the game, but then they were finally doing end arounds to Melvin Gordon, which is his thing. He averages 11 yards per carry, which is a first down each time. Why aren't they giving him the ball more? But I'm not impressed with Joel Stave, even though I'm a believer right now, repping my Stave jersey. He was 15 for 30 against Arizona State for only 187 yards and 1 TD. They're throwing, when they need to throw it, they are throwing it, but that's 50% of your completions, which is not very good at all. I think they need to figure out how to get a passing game.
I think with Wisconsin, it's really hard to buy into them right now. It's hard to buy into a lot of Big Ten teams. If you looked at their competition, they haven't really been playing any like top tier opponents. They've all been like really terrible schools that you've probably never heard of in your entire life. I really do like their 300 monster. I can't argue with you that Melvin Gordon, James White, and Corey Clement, they're all great running backs. They're all averaging like 6 yards per carry. Like, how can you really stop that?
Yeah.
But I am going to say that Joel Stave is the problem on this team. I mean, you can't, if you're going to be down by, if they lose, something happens where like they give up a fumble, a defensive touchdown, stuff like that, and they go down early or they're down late, you can't expect to run the ball to try to win a game on a 2-minute drive. So I think that's the problem. I think that they need to get more consistency with their passing offense. Maybe give more, in these like blowout games. Maybe just start passing on teams. You're up by 40. Why not?
Right?
Start throwing. Practice.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, but going from the Badgers to other Big Ten action, I want to know, Nick, who do you predict to win the Big Ten right now?
Well, who I have predicted to win the Big Ten, is another team wearing red, and that team is
Indiana?
Ohio State.
Oh.
It's Ohio State. Ohio State has been extremely impressive. I mean, they're like the best. Obviously, one of the best teams in the nation. And they have their backup quarterback playing quarterback right now. The kid's like a Heisman candidate. Braxton Miller hasn't been playing, and when he comes back, who knows if. I don't even know if this guy's going to even start. I mean, Kenny.
That's the debate right now, actually.
I mean, he's been so hot out of the gate. I don't know if you do sit this guy. But like I said, it's really hard to pick. I think it's really easy to pick Ohio State to win the Big Ten, but it's hard to say how far a team in the Big Ten is going to go in the national championship picture.
I feel like whoever wins the game this weekend will decide who's going to represent
Still buying
that.
in Wisconsin? Or?
Are you serious? Well, they always have a hard time at Ohio State, but I'm believing them. I mean, I don't know how Ohio State's defense does against the rush at all. I mean, especially going outside, I don't know if they're fast enough for that. I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, Ohio State, they're looking. They have
a really
tough.
sharp defense. They hold their opponents to 15 points per game, and they also have a really, really good rush offense themselves, which can combat Wisconsin. It should be a good game nonetheless. I definitely think Ohio State has their number, though. I just don't, I just can't see it.
We'll see. I love upsets. We all love upsets.
Would you love to see? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay,
Wisconsin's underdog, yeah. So,
okay.
But from the other side of the division, who do you have going in?
That's really tough for me to pick two. I know that you're a pretty big buyer into Michigan, and I'm not really buying into Michigan at all.
And I'm really buying into many people.
No, you're not really buying into many teams?
No, not at all. I am buying into Michigan, though. I think Devin Gardner, he needs to take his interceptions down a little bit. He has 17 this season and 8 interceptions, but for some reason they always can get the job done. I mean, they should have choked last week.
How can you buy a quarterback with the number 98?
Yeah, I feel like, is that illegal? Isn't that like
it's not illegal, but I mean,
against the rules?
Running backs used to be like single-digit numbers, there still are, but I mean, he did it to like honor Todd Harmon, I think the guy's name was, or something.
I'm not believing that. I think he's putting on too much of a show, but he can run the ball too, which is good for them because they don't have much of an offense. I mean, I feel like he's a one-man show right now, even though Jeremy Gallen, he's actually a stud. If you watched him during the Notre Dame game, he had like 3 TDs.
But with them, it's Michigan, I think, is actually one of the teams that you can actually discount for the Big Ten. I mean, they almost lost to Akron at home.
True.
At home. They were literally one play away from losing. They almost lost to UConn, right?
Yeah.
And they beat Notre Dame, but how impressive is that? I mean,
it's really not. I mean,
it's not.
I mean, you can't really put anyone else in their spot. I mean, Michigan State hasn't been doing anything. Their defense isn't. Their offense isn't that good.
Yep. I think one thing we can agree on is that the Big Ten will start getting a little bit more interesting later on when conference games start happening.
Absolutely.
That will definitely. Speaking of college football, moving along to the national championship picture, the Alabama Crimson Tide are looking to three-peat this year, and I think they're a pretty sexy pick. What do you think, Steph?
I'm going to go against the grain on this one, and I'm actually going to pick Oregon. I mean, they've always been a speedy team, and I don't think Alabama's defense can handle that. You see them against what they did against Manziel. What do they do? I mean, they stopped him, but he's a one-man team, too, to an extent. Oregon is second in the nation with rush yards per game and points per game. They put up 62 points a game, which I think is going to be hard for Bama's defense to stop. DeAnthony Thomas is still in the backfield. He has 42 carries this season for 338 yards and 6 TDs. And I just think he's a stud. And their quarterback, Marcus Mariota.
Yep.
He's the real deal. I mean,
did you get this stat? Did you get one of these stats? These crazy stats? When he throws the ball, he gets 11 yards per completion.
That's pretty awesome.
It's a first down per completion. Every time he throws the ball, they get a first down. It's like, how do you not win with that?
Yeah,
I mean, I can give you that. I think it will be Alabama and Oregon, 1 and 2 in the national championship game. Tide's going to beat them, though. It was the same discussion last year. Oregon's has too good of an offense, but Nick Saban, his classical style of his classic defense, just smash mouth football. AJ McCarron's the real deal.
I think Alabama, he is the real deal.
I think Alabama.
I think he's definitely been an underrated quarterback, especially. I mean, Manziel's in the spotlight all the time, and McCarron gets nothing, and he has 2 rings. What does Manziel have besides a trophy? Right?
He has
Heisman Trophy.
He has swag.
He does have swag, but I'm not buying him either. But I also think Clemson is actually a pretty legit contender.
That's an interesting pick.
Taj Boyd, he's up for the Heisman also. Sammy Watkins, whenever he touches the ball, it's magic.
Okay.
Have you seen him?
I've not.
You've not?
Often. I don't live in.
He kind of went under the radar last year. Actually, I really don't know what happened to him. His freshman year, he was outstanding. They have a lot of offensive weapons for receivers.
You're just an offensive loving girl, aren't you? You just love that offense.
Defense does win championships.
Defense really does, and that's
really
why you can't discount Alabama. I think
that
they have one of the best defenses in the league. It's going to be hard to say that they can't, pull through. I mean, I think they're going to stay number 1 all year. They have to have broken some record where they've been number 1 the past 4 seasons. I swear, they've been.
True.
They're always number 1. It's it's crazy. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
How realistic do you think it is for Texas A&M to actually be in the championship game with Bama?
I mean, it's kind of realistic. They gave Bama a run for their money.
True.
So, I mean, and Johnny Manziel has been on fire lately, which we're going to talk about in a second, if you know what I mean. But I mean, realistically, I think if you're an SEC team, if you're any SEC team and you go undefeated, you're going to be in the national championship, regardless. Like, if you go undefeated, because you'll be in the SEC championship game, and then if you win the game, you'll be in the title game. But I think an SEC team will for sure always be in the national championship. That's how things are.
Yep. Well, speaking of Johnny Manziel, we want to talk. Nick, I want to know who your Heisman hopefuls are. I know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think Johnny Football Manziel. There's no reason for the plural word hopefuls because there's one Heisman hopeful, and it's Johnny Football Manziel. The guy is the real deal. I mean, he's played only 3 out of the 4 games that there's been in this college football season. He sat out the first half in the first game against Rice, and this last game against SMU, he sat the second half because they were whooping him so bad. The guy is literally on fire. Against Alabama, he threw 464 yards and 5 TDs. So, I mean, this guy, he's on pace to throw 3,600 yards, 36 TDs through the air, 9 TDs on the ground, and another 1,000 rushing yards. So, I mean, there's no way to stop this guy. He's pretty much the entire team's heart and soul. I think he wins Heisman number 2 this season. I think he looks like a superstar, he plays like a superstar, and he deserves the trophy that superstars get.
I feel like there's too much Manziel hype, Johnny Football hype, and I don't like it.
His name is Johnny Football.
I know, but he made up that name for himself.
He deserves it. It's obvious. This is the real deal.
I have Teddy Bridgewater from Louisville. This kid is a freak. 72% completions. That's insane. NFL quarterbacks don't even do that. He already has 1,200 yards, and he has 14 TDs and 1 interception. But I don't know if this is a win or lose for them. They don't play any ranked opponents in their schedule, so his stats can keep increasing. But then, is that a downer? Are you not looked as a Heisman hopeful if you don't play legit teams?
You're not. That's why Johnny Football is the Heisman. Like I said, the dude had 464 yards against an Alabama stingy D. That's awesome. That's crazy. He pretty much carried his team and kept them in the game. I don't know how you can argue with that. I mean, just think if this guy would have gotten to play the first half of the Rice game and the second half of the SMU game, this guy could have ridiculous stats I honestly can't even tell you how awesome he is.
I don't like him. Okay.
Well, that's enough for right now. I think we're going to cut to a commercial break. We'll be right back after this with more Sports Talk Live. Stay tuned.
L-Fact. University of Wisconsin-La Crosse is ranked the #2 college in the Midwest.
UW-La Crosse is ranked number 34 for out-of-state students among public universities nationwide.
UW-La Crosse is ranked as one of the most military-friendly schools in the nation.
UW-La Crosse is number 24 among medium colleges and universities for Peace Corps volunteers.
And welcome back to Sports Talk Live. Going from one field to the next, we just heard recently that Corey Hart may be taking a discount to stay with the Brewers for the 2014 season. Very interesting idea here. Steph, what are your thoughts?
I want him to stay. Don't go breaking my heart, please. I don't really know how to think. He's very injury prone. Since the last 2 seasons, he's had a lot of injuries. But I mean, look at what he's done for the organization. He was in the 2010 home run derby. He played first base in 2012 when they needed him to fill in, and his fielding percentage was .995.
That's really good.
Which is really amazing. But in 2012, he batted .270 with 30 home runs and 83 RBIs. I mean, he's better than a lot of the players. I feel like he's not a face of the franchise because that's definitely Braun, but he's always been there.
It's really hard to say anything when you talk about discounts. We've had Fielder, Greinke, and Sabathia pretty much just say, yeah, we'll take a discount, and then they're like, see you later. So I mean, it's really hard to buy this guy. He should come back. For $5 million a year, he doesn't deserve to make more than 10. The guy was a chump last season and made $10 million sitting on his butt. So that's all I have to say.
Wrapping up the show, we're just going to take a little FaceTime to ourselves. So, Nick, go ahead. What do you have to say?
Oh, well, pretty much. I think before we do FaceTime, I really want to talk about my fantasy football team because, you know what? They have been making me so angry. And I knew that you – yeah, I know. Okay, you know what? Tom Brady has been an awesome guy, right? Okay, what? Okay, well, he's been an awesome player, but on fantasy, though, he's scoring me like 12 points per game.
I had him, too.
That's terrible.
He's a loser. He's being
What is your problem?
Right now. I don't like Tom Brady.
You're being hateful.
But I like Michigan, but I don't like Tom Brady. I think the best pick for a winner right now is definitely Peyton Manning. He's putting up the points.
Oh, easy.
I'm
easy,
just saying.
easy fantasy football guru. Easy coming out.
Also, I'm impressed with Packers defense last week, even though didn't perform very well on the field. They put up 21 points, which helped me out a little bit.
I'm going to say this. Joik Bell, thank you for showing up and doing something because I needed you when, Ray Rice went down. So, well, really quick, I think we're going to wrap things up, but there's something I really want to get off of my chest, and that's Milwaukee Bucks. What are you doing, okay? I mean, for the past however many seasons you've been mediocre, and you finally have your chance to shed cap room and be mediocre. But what they do? They go out and sign O.J. Mayo. They trade for Caron Butler. And it's like, what is up with bringing up all these contracts? They signed Carlos Delfino. It's like, why, dude? They got Brandon Knight, who's a young point guard, hasn't been really that impressive, but he could be impressive with years' time. Larry Sanders. We also have John Henson. I think what they do is they keep those 3 young guys, build around them, try to tank, get Andrew Wiggins first pick next year, and then we can start talking. Don't give me this O.J. Mayo and Caron Butler crap. I don't want to be the 8th seed and have LeBron James teabagging me when he's jamming a dunk, losing a series 0-4.
Well, just my little rant. I just want to congratulate my parents on 25 years of marriage. Congrats, Mom and Dad.
That's cute.
I got them Northwestern football tickets for their anniversary. I'm a great daughter. I know.
That's really nice.
Jealous.
I'm jealous for how nice you are, I guess.
I know, yes.
Well, that was interesting. That was our first Sport Talk Live of the year, and I think it was well done.
Yes.
Give me a little handshake there. It was very fun working with you. I appreciate all the conversation we had today. I think we did a fantastic job. But I think we're gonna have to. We have to
go.
leave. We have to leave.
Stay tuned. Next on this show is actually going to be an Afternoon Delight.
Well, I love that show. I know I'm gonna tune in.
Oh, I am going to watch it.
It's been Sports Talk Live. Nick Ragner and Stephanie Olson. We'll catch you guys later on Afternoon Delight.